Ladies and gentlemen, it is once again that time of year where the new F1 game is out and we try to figure out if it's gonna be an amazing game or an absolute stinker. I've already had a few days to play thanks to some early access from EA, so I feel like I've got a pretty good idea of what F1 25 is like. So I wanted to share my first impressions and hopefully help guide you in the right direction if you're on the fence about buying it. I'm always super interested to know what you guys think about the new game, so let me know in the comments whether or not you've bought it and what your impressions are. The first thing I always do when I get access to a new F1 game is go straight into a time trial to get an idea of how the handling has changed and what the racing experience is like. Pretty much straight away I felt really comfortable and confident with the handling of the car, which was actually really refreshing, as with past games I've spent the first hour stressing about the handling and playing around with the calibration settings to find something that works. But for me, the handling feels really intuitive, and even on controller it seems easy to get a good feel for how much grip you've got and where the limit is. I didn't really know what to expect in terms of handling this year, as I feel like it's not as much of a big deal anymore now that we're past the horrible F1 22 days of handling, but I was personally quite impressed with the initial driving experience. I made one small change to my steering settings just to make small inputs a little less sensitive, but other than that, I was very happy with how it felt. This is just my opinion though, and I'm obviously not some expert esports player that completely understands how cars should handle in the F1 game. I am kind of just a mediocre controller player.
I wouldn't believe a word he says.
But I don't know, maybe that's exactly who you want to hear from. The next thing I was curious to try out was the revamped My Team career mode, which was said to have its biggest overhaul yet. I went about creating a new team, and once again, I was fairly impressed. There seems to be a lot more detail and decision making involved that makes it feel like you're actually in charge of an F1 team, especially compared to before where you kind of just pick a teammate and do some upgrades and that's pretty much it. I like how you can choose if you're a people person or a finance nerd at the start. I like how you can have secret talks with other drivers on the market. I like how you can do a Jim Ratcliffe and just sack a load of workers if you want to save a bit of money. And I am a big fan of the fact you can now choose 2 real drivers for your team, although I am a bit surprised they've taken away the option to still race as your own custom driver. I'm not really sure why they've done that, to be honest. I feel like people will be rightfully annoyed about that. But the amount of detail in My Team has certainly taken a step forward, and I think it's cool as well that a lot of the mode is centered around the challenges of managing 2 drivers, as you can assign upgrades to only 1 driver, and you'll also face dilemmas where you're forced to prioritize one of your drivers. I don't think My Team is now absolutely perfect, and I'm particularly not a fan of the menu, which I think could be a lot more user friendly and look nicer, but it's definitely an improvement overall. The next thing I want to talk about is this new reverse tracks feature, which has got to be one of the most random things added to the F1 game. I find it so funny how EA has this weird ability to always identify features that no one has really asked for or wanted. I think it's one of those things as well where if they added reverse tracks alongside other features like different tracks or classic cars or whatever, then it would be kind of cool and people wouldn't really mind it. But it's the fact that this has been hyped up as this massive standout new feature, when in reality all it is that you can now race backwards on 3 different tracks. Wow. That's kind of it really. I did a backwards race against the AI at Silverstone, and it was kind of cool, as it seems like quite a fun track to do backwards, but it's really not a special feature at all in my opinion. I feel like it's going to be one of those things where I play it once or twice and then just never again. So I think it's understandable for the community to feel almost a bit insulted that this is one of the main features of a new game that is cheaper than it was last year, but still expensive nevertheless. Another feature that has been advertised a lot is the addition of laser scan tracks, which do look nice and it's cool that they're identical to real life, but it's just a shame that this is only for 5 of the 24 tracks on the calendar. I always think as well it's a sign of low standards when one of the main promotion points is that some tracks look the same as how they look in real life. I would kind of hope so. I am hoping that when the next game comes out, every single track is laser scan, because I feel like this should kind of just be expected rather than an advertised feature. I have to say as well, I was a little bit underwhelmed by the new customization feature, which is meant to include a decal editor, which I was hoping would give lots more customization of liveries, but it kind of seems like all that's changed is you can now slightly customize the sponsor logos and driver number on the car, but not really much else. Although maybe I was expecting a bit too much, so I'm curious to know what you guys think about this as well, as I think maybe in my head I was thinking it would be pretty much custom liveries and stuff like that. As with a lot of the changes in these F1 games, it feels like a bit of a step in the right direction, but not a complete game changer. The Breaking Point story mode is not something that's ever really interested me, so I don't really have a lot to say about this, to be honest. I'm sure it's a good addition if you've been a fan of it in the past, but I don't really know personally.
Ooh, you're hard.
I actually didn't mind as well the scenario mode related to the F1 movie, although I will say it felt more like a glorified advert for the film rather than anything else. The first scenario was literally just having to do a quick enough lap at Silverstone so that Brad Pitt can race in F1 or whatever, but I do actually like the idea of future scenarios being related to scenes in the film, which are hopefully more exciting than just driving a few laps at Silverstone by myself. So anyway, yeah, that is pretty much everything new that has been added to F1 25, and I think overall it seems like a decent game. I'm personally a big fan of the handling and the changes to the My Team career mode, but other than that, there's not really much else to write home about. The laser scan tracks are cool, but I wish there were more of them like that. The reverse tracks has to be one of the strangest features added to an F1 game since F1 Life in 22, and the rest of the new features just don't really move me in any way. I guess I would mostly recommend the game if you're big into My Team career mode, but other than that, I'd say it's probably not quite worth the money, and it would make more sense to just wait for it to inevitably go on sale in a few months or so. But yeah, anyway, these have been my initial thoughts after a few days of playing it before release. Let me know what you think, or if you have any questions about the game, I'll be happy to try and answer them. But anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.